Hi there, my name is Louise Capener, and today I'm going to be convincing you of the importance of utilising computational methods for social science research. In particular, I'm going to be focusing on web scraping and how we can use this for social media analysis. So it's been said that getting information off the internet is like trying to take a drink from a fire hydrant, and in many ways this is true. As researchers, it can feel like we're wading through a jungle, and I do remember this feeling as an undergrad when I first started looking for sources on a specific subject. But luckily for me, I had databases, my lecturers pointed me in the right direction in terms of what journals to look at, but it can be harder when it comes to social media. But it doesn't have to be this way, especially not if you use this method. So, web scraping is a technique which we can use to collect massive amounts of data whilst also remaining specific in our search, which of course is really crucial for social scientists. We often want a large sample size that we can use, and we're looking to test a hypothesis. And in terms of social media analysis, we could be focusing on a number of things. So we could be looking at the growth of political movements, the emergence of new subcultures, and as Dr. Casimir points out, a lot of our behaviours are now captured digitally, so it's a really great opportunity to get stuck in with web scraping. So in this little video, I'm going to outline a few examples, and then I'll give you a sort of gentle introduction as to how you can actually get started in terms of coding and using these modules. So, to demonstrate the capabilities of this method, I've just picked two examples from the latest issue of the Journal of Computational Social Science. So unsurprisingly, one of them relates to COVID-19, and that's the study at the bottom. And in this study, Caliscan's looking at how the pandemic has affected Ohioans' perception of the Republican Party. And the study at the top by Hu and Kurjiwal is looking to measure the textual affinities in Twitter between Los Angeles and New York. So basically whether tweets from similar locations will be topically similar. And in order to do this, the researchers have used web scraping modules. So if we just focus on the COVID study, the researchers have used the module RTweet, which is a module in the statistical language R. And they've used this to collect 48,291 Ohioan Twitter users. So they've collected data on them, and they've verified that these users are in fact from Ohio, which is of course essential. Another module that they've used is called Tweepy, and they've used that in Python, and this, as you can see, has been used to collect a massive amount of tweets. So we can see that these modules are great for collecting data. In terms of the studies, they are really interesting, and I'm going to link them in the description if you want to just read a bit more about the findings, because I found them fascinating. So, you might be thinking, great, let's get started and use these modules in our coding and programming environments, but unfortunately Twitter doesn't allow unregulated access to its data, and that's due to something called an API. So, an API is an application programming interface. It's a means of interacting with the system to receive information, acts as a mediator between users and the resources or the web services that they want to access. Also, it's important for an organisation, of course, to not allow unregulated access, so it acts as a security measure as well. An analogy I often see for APIs is to think about a waiter. So when you're ordering food at a restaurant, you request food from the menu, you allow the waiter to collect it from the kitchen, but there is the implicit assumption that you can't just storm into the kitchen and start messing around with the ingredients. And the same goes for Twitter's API. So in order to use these popular Twitter scraping modules like Tweepy and RTweet, you will need a developer account. But this does take about a week or two to get clearance on, so I have applied for one, but unfortunately I won't be able to show you how to use it today because I haven't got clearance yet. However, I found a fun little workaround with a really cool module called SN Scrape, and this is a web scraping tool for social networking services, and it doesn't require Twitter's API, so we can use it to get information on users, profiles, hashtags, etc. So I'm going to use that today in just a little demonstration. So if you want to do it yourself, what you're going to need is a Python version that's either 3.8 or higher. I did actually find this easy to do by using Anaconda. I didn't want to mess with the Python I already had installed. And for those of you that are new perhaps to using the command line interface and you don't want to spend lots of time trawling Stackflow for, how to upgrade the Python that you already have, I do really suggest using an Anaconda environment. And in the description below, there is a Medium article that I've done on how you can create a Anaconda environment quite quickly and use it to access a Python that's higher than the one you've got. And another thing you'll need is a code editor or an IDE, and I'm going to be using Jupyter Notebook, so let's have a look. Okay, so as you can see, I've imported SNScrape, and what I've done is I've imported the relevant libraries and packages. So we've also got pandas here because we will be creating a data frame. I'm going to show you basically rows and columns in tabular format of the kind of information that I've collected. So once we've initialized this empty list, what we're doing is we're using the enumerate function, and I've selected, so the user I'm looking at today is Barack Obama. So I've declared that username and I want 1,000 tweets. So once we reach this number, I want to break and go to the next line of code, and to my empty list I'll append the relevant information, which is the day, ID, content, etc. So let's go ahead and run this. Oops, sorry, let's run this first. So what you should see now is it should generate a table. Sorry, my computer's a little bit slow. Right, here we go. So as you can see, Barack Obama's tweets have appeared. You've got some interesting stuff here. You can see COVID-19, Bruce Springsteen, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just for easy visualization, I'm going to show you how you can get this in an Excel file. So I did have to mess around with the date time when I tried to initially get this to work on Excel. It didn't like the way that the date and the time was stored, so I did have to mess about with that. So if you're using this module, it's something to bear in mind, but I did find a little workaround and I got it to work in the end. So I've already got it up in another window, and as you can see, this allows us to see all the way to 1,000. We can see the content. It's not the most sophisticated way to visualize the data, there's other stuff we can do with it for sure, but this is all I really had time for. So, and that brings me to my last slide, which is what would I do if I did have more time? This is a really interesting topic, so if I had more time, what I'd want to do is delve further into the coding aspect of it. So I'd really want to explore the capabilities of SNScrape more and show you how you can implement it in your own code editors. I might go more into the coding terminology so that we really break down some of the jargon to make it more easily understandable. I'd want to look at how you can access Twitter's API through your developer account. So once I get clearance, I'd want to show you how you can do the same, which tier you should select, and mess about with these other modules like RTweet because I'm really interested to start using them. And if I had an unlimited amount of time, what I'd want to do is show you how you can web scrape other social media websites. So as we can see on the right here, just got the icons of different social medias, and they are in a way like their own little ecosystems. Anyone who's used Twitter will notice it's the demographic can be different to using Facebook. Perhaps that YouTube allows for a greater amount of characters when you're typing a comment. Perhaps this changes the content of the comments. You know, we could look at a number of different things. So there really is so unlimited potential in a way. So I won't go on about it too much, but I'm going to end the presentation here. And thank you guys for watching.